India would grow faster if it attached itself to the US bandwagon. Most people sitting here, those watching you, would say, no, we like the sweet spot that India is in, where it is very good friends with the United States, and we build on that deep and abiding partnership. But we also want to keep a door open with Russia. We would like for tensions to come down with China. Even if that doesn't happen, we don't want to be on one country's wagon. How do you see this?
Well, I mean, you're not in Belt and Road. So you clearly don't really want, you're in the Quad but not in Belt and Road. That's like being a little bit pregnant, right? So, I mean, the idea of Indian neutrality is a myth. But you like being a little bit pregnant. I can see this is working in this conversation because, you know, that's a whole gender identity question. But when I think about where India is going long term, my difference with Fareed is saying, bet more strongly with the United States and allies when it really matters strategically, and don't when it's going to get you in trouble with other countries that matter to you, right? So when I think about the future of globalization, India needs globalization. The United States is betting much more heavily on industrial policy. You just heard from Fareed, if Trump wins, internationally, he thinks the US is going to be more isolationist. Why would India want to bet heavily on that? That's dangerous to India. I think the future of the global economy will have AI that is dominated by the Americans, and therefore India should bet on it. And we'll have an energy transition that is dominated by the Chinese, and therefore India should bet on that. That's what the Europeans are going to do. The Americans put 100% tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. And privately, the White House will say should have been 300%, should have been 400%. Why? I mean, is it because the Americans think that's the best way to ensure a green future? No, it has nothing to do with green. It has everything to do with elections, protecting labor and automotive, and making China less competitive. The Europeans are likely to put more tariffs on Chinese EVs, 20, 25, 30%. Why not 100? I mean, wouldn't Fareed say 100? No. And they're not doing that because the Europeans recognize that they don't want their people to drive expensive, poorly made EVs. Now, if the United States decides that everyone in America has to drive a poorly made, expensive EV, there are enough Teslas for everybody, right? They can do that. But the rest of the world is going to drive Chinese. It's eventually going to happen. And not only that, but the battery technology and, you know, wind and solar and nuclear, China's increasingly driving that. But the Americans are driving AI. You heard from Fareed, the top technology companies, the most innovative, the large language models. But the Chinese are not effective in large language models. Why not? Because they don't want their population to hallucinate on the back of Western technology. So if the Chinese decide that their people are not going to have access to the most incredible new technology that is creating productivity